Hey, how's it going, guys? Yeah, this is Shane representing Arcadia. I'm one of the developers on the team here, and got a lot of exciting stuff to cover. Probably too much to cover in our little session here, but I'll try to give you the value proposition on what we're planning on bringing, and try to make it digestible because I always like to present things, and I tend to think and understand things in a technical, but try to distill it. So yeah, we are Arcadia. We're kind of a arcade, a digital arcade online for video games. And what's really cool, um, so this is kind of a big idea to grapple with, and it's going to sound really audacious and high-minded, and it absolutely is. We are absolutely shooting for the moon. So Arcadia is the only Web3 gaming platform that can and ever will scale, period. And I'll explain that. That's a massive claim to throw out there, and I'll prove it to you guys. And hopefully, by the end of our talk, everybody will be on board with me. So there's clearly a massive explosion in game development, either from pure AI game development. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the really cool stuff out there where each frame is generated with AI, or just these A plus studios, these developers spinning off and just using AI tools to enhance their development. And you're just going to see smaller A plus plus studios, right? Versus these huge, massive conglomerates coming from Sony or whatever have you. So regardless, however you spin it, there's going to be a huge increase in video games, which is awesome. And the gaming industry is already about $200 billion, which is actually bigger than Hollywood and music combined. So this is just an absolutely massive industry, and we've designed our project and the infrastructure behind Arcadia to literally capture that, to capture as much as we can. We're basically trying to be the Steam for Web3 games. And so what do I mean by that? Is most of these websites you'll see, they're either like a directory, and you'll kind of understand when you interact with it, they'll redirect you to another game, or at best, maybe they just kind of visualize it in their game in like a little container, like an iframe or something. Um, that's one case. I call that the phone book or the directory game application. And then there's going to be the other games that maybe they, or the other platforms that they maybe at best have, 5 or 10 games in house, and then they do custom code to integrate those games into their platforms. Well, what we're doing is we're doing the best of all of the above. And what we've actually gone and done is we've developed a Unity SDK, giving developers, indie developers, A++ studios, the ability to integrate with us on their own. And so what that means is that people can choose to integrate with us. The onus isn't on us as a platform, so that we can literally, by definition, scale infinitely, right? So it's not about us producing games. How many games can Arcadia develop? We do have a game development section to Arcadia, so we absolutely will develop games in house, but we're not limited to that, is what I'm saying exclusively. So we can literally scale. We already have plans to scale up to hundreds of games based on some of the people that we're consulting with and their development abilities in house. But we can scale to thousands to tens of thousands of games via our SDK, because instead of the onus being on us integrating the games as they come in, we are open sourcing some code for the developers to put into the games themselves. Okay, that is amazing. Not only that, we've orchestrated and designed the SDK that it's going to be as such to where it's going to be the most frictionless integration that we can possibly provide. So what does that mean? So for the game developer, it's basically they're going to design their game as they would, just freely, right, without any consideration to anybody else. Get a sip of water, excuse me. And then to integrate with Arcadia, because the organic process of a game developer, you build a game and it's awesome. You're going to want two things: is you're going to want people to play it, and then you're going to want to monetize it, presumably. And so they can come to us. They can, with 3 lines of code, integrate with us absolutely with zero friction, basically. So rather than them spinning up their own platform and trying to be a competitor, they can look to us and we'll offer the ability for them to monetize basically instantly, definitely same day. We're calling it 5 minutes of integration. And so what does that look like from a developer's perspective in a way that other people can understand it? You orchestrate a game. Flappy Bird, we've been doing some development with Worm or a Snake, excuse me, some free runners. It's compatible with just about any kind of game. All you need to understand as a game developer is like where your score or increment logic is. So what does that mean? So for Flappy Bird, for instance, it's each time you pass a tube, right? And the score bumps up. A game that we discussed that would be really hard or kind of conceptually is kind of hard to understand would be like Pokemon, for instance. It's up to the game developer. It's wherever the game developer would score a point or any kind of progression otherwise, a save point when Mario gets to a flag or anything. You would then just place one line of code, Arcadia dot submit score, pass in the score that you would have otherwise in your code, and then our SDK just handles everything else. So from the developer's perspective for the game submission, for instance, that literally is what it will look like. There'll be some slight configuration like importing the SDK into your Unity editor so that the Unity editor, understands and works with it. But that's more or less what it's going to be. To initialize the website, all of those things, it's going to be one or two, so to initialize would be to just Arcadia accept game, put in some parentheses, pass in the name of your game. As long as there's not a conflict in our systems, it gets passed into our system. We have an entire approval process as a part of our web application where we can test out the game before we implement it fully through and push it through. And we have all of that actually. We have all of that completely implemented now. It's running live on my computer. We're going to be rolling that out in the next few days, as well as we're planning to roll out and implement a bunch of other stuff. And what's really cool is we're going to be combining all of that with the root network to combine and bring that all on chain. So all of that is amazing in and in itself. But then obviously the root network having all of these amazing features like delegated smart contracts. Quite honestly, even just the login feature where you can log in with an email address, you can log in with all of the different wallet variants and everything, and it's completely seamless. The developer can front the cost for gas, which is, if you think, that's actually the real experience in Web 2, right? Like you don't go to Google and pay for the searches. The developer fronts that, and you try to provide and capture value in other ways. And so we've identified Root as providing the best user experience. We all know UX is the most important thing. You can have an amazing product, and if you don't have an amazing user experience, then it's all kind of meaningless. And some other things, with the SDK, I guess I'll leave you guys on some teasers, is that it's kind of a foundational architecture that we can just build upon. So there's a bunch of different things where we can go multi-chain, we can go multiplayer, for instance. We were talking about going peer-to-peer multiplayer. We're talking about adding further and more extensive on-chain activity. Some of that we might even open up some dialogue with the community to see what the feedback is, and maybe we take it that direction. But basically, the TLDR is there is no limit. It's going to be how far we want to take this and what direction we want to go. And no matter what direction it is, as it stands now, we have a far superior product, I would say, than just about everybody in the space, like objectively.
I love how bullish you are, man. That's exactly the attitude here. But but that's amazing. No, I had a couple of questions. I mean, the first one is regarding your Unity SDK. One of the main issues that developers have, game developers, is the multiplayer aspect of things. So is multiplayer also like an aspect that can be covered using the SDK in a way?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. We've already have some templates, frameworks out that we've been discussing internally. So the short answer is absolutely yes. The SDK is empowering in so many ways. We already have a ton of value with the SDK. What the SDK is we're looking at there's two different variants of multiplayer. There's going to be the massive multiplayer online situation, which I'll call like Halo, Minecraft, and such, which is where you have like the massive 100 players on a server. That comes with the infrastructure costs where we as Arcadia would have to actually host those servers. And then there's kind of another more interesting perspective, peer to peer, which I think that we are going to probably, I think that the all of the above is possible. I think that we're going to tackle them incrementally if we so choose to do that or go that direction. And I think that there's a lot of interest in multiplayer. But as for example, a really cool example, what we could do for peer to peer, where it doesn't have all this server infrastructure that we could add into the SDK relatively easily, is like we could enable heads up games with board games, absolutely anything that you can imagine. You could be wagering and playing heads up games, all of your classic games, Monopoly, checkers, chess, all of that. And that would be enabled through our SDK.
Sick. That's exactly one of the pain points that people have. I mean, we have been also developing games for a long time, and it's good that you're really working on that. I'm going to, if you don't mind, Arcadia, pause you for a bit because Marco has a hard stop at 9:30, like in 10 minutes. I also wanted to ask you one more question regarding Tracer, which I just saw recently, but we'll get back to that in a bit. Um, so yeah, I mean, Marco, before you go, before you leave us, how are you doing, man?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, I've done better in the past. Now a bit sick, but getting out of it. You're also in Germany, right?
Yeah, I am in Germany, not too far from B11s actually.
Nice, 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 nice. Also in Bayern.
Yeah, I am in Baden-Württemberg, just on
Ah,
the other side of the border, but still
got
Germany.
it, got it.
So
Yeah.
I also want to extend Aaron's greetings. He wants us to be here as well at some point, but he's really busy. But he's been quite under the weather for a couple of weeks actually, and he's also fighting against a lot of coughing and some fever, etc. But he's sending his greetings to everyone and to all of the builders in our
Amazing,
communities.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing, Marco. Yeah, I mean, I had some questions for you. I mean, you have been spearheading the development of the root network, and I mean, of course, launching a blockchain is a huge deal. There are many things that people underestimate in regards of making sure it has a good basic infrastructure for it to be sustainable in the long term. So, if you don't mind, before you going, giving us a little overview of like some of the core design choices that you made for Root, and how are they actually built for the focus that the Root network has with gaming, immersive experience, metaverse. I know the topic is butchered by, but we all know that the metaverse is still coming, and of course AI. So what like are those core aspects that you chose for the root network and that will help really get the adoption and the use cases that we want in the future?
Well, you know, all of the other guys and the project that I've been talking here today are really basically touching exactly the same points and from the perspective of the builders, but that was exactly our own perspective when we started all of this. And it's all about creating the default protocols and native functionality that really goes beyond the standard primitives of the blockchain or traditional blockchain, or actually it's not even more anymore traditional blockchain. It's going beyond what was the blockchain of the pure DeFi projects, etc. So this was really the goal, being able to create one new network that allows to us to and gives us the freedom to really expand on the set of protocols and primitives that are really necessary to start creating the layer of infrastructure that has to support all of what we call the metaverse. And it's yeah, as you said, the metaverse as a term is not a thing anymore, but it's actually still here and pretty much already here. We know that, we said that so many times, but the point is really being able to focus on what I called at the very beginning the very first five pillars of this infrastructure, starting from the new network and what the new network has to offer, to then provide those functionalities to kind of the next layer of applications and builders, and keep building on top of this basic infrastructure. So everything, being able to extend on the concepts on NFTs was very, very important, extremely necessary, because we wanted to go beyond the, um, the small, well, not the small, but the specifics of the formats that we are used to have within the Ethereum ecosystem, and then into Solana, Polygon, etc. But basically, the 721 and 1155 standards are relatively limited to one specific vision of the NFTs, and we really wanted to go beyond that. But to do that, we had to create those standards as primitives at the protocol layer, at the real deep core of the code of the blockchain. And it's similar, other chains now have been doing the same. When we started, we were almost the first to do that. So I'm not claiming anything. I'm just saying that the goal was really to be able to go beyond what the NFT, those standards were initially, and being able to provide something more to that. And then when you connect the NFTs to all of the rest of protocols that expand on what is the real substrate of the entire metaverse, which is a data layer, basically, that we need to provide. We need to be able to participate to, we need to expand, we need to be able to evaluate, but we need to also to properly segment and make possible for users to really own their piece.
To own their piece. I think you got muted for some reason, Marco.
Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened. I didn't touch it.
You got
uh,
muted.
well, when did that happen? What I was saying? I didn't realize it. Um,
No, it just happened like a couple of seconds ago.
okay, so I was just saying that it's the we've been working on this data layer and being able to provide all of the functionalities that are required um, to create the fundamentals functionalities that everyone really needs. So being able to stay as generic as possible, understanding really what are the fundamentals for everyone, and then that's where all of the different protocols have started, been designed for, etc. I'm more personally, I'm more a guy of protocols than a guy of experiences. I don't focus that much on experiences myself. I really try to build the roads before building the cars, if you know what I mean. So
Absolutely.
that's exactly what we've been doing, and the team within the team that has been working on. The RU network specifically and all of these different protocols has been really following that same direction and the same passion to be able to provide those fundamentals. And it's really nice to see that basically Guillaume, the Hawk, and Bill Evans, and I know for sure, they're being able to expand on top of that. And that is really what we wanted to achieve, right? It's provide what you need as builders to get and create your own business, your own stuff that then can expand, etc. So this vision of us creating these first layers of deeper infrastructure and then let everyone else to expand and build on top. And us as a futureverse, we want to do the same. We created this because it wasn't really available, but then now the rest of the job is really to continue expanding, creating our own verticals on top of this basic layer of infrastructure. So that is the general vision for how the network was started, and the decisions that were made about how to implement certain things, what to extend, what to make visible and available to the builders. It was very much our own need to have something like that. That now it's clear that it's the same need that the other projects and builders have. So And it's very nice to see, really, that this convergence and the recognition, in a way, that our work now is really useful and can be extended and can be something magic can be built on top of that. So all of these different projects that are presented today, to me, is really nice to hear, and nice to hear that there is a chance to present them properly, and really looking forward to what everyone can build on top of the Rune network.
Absolutely. Marco, thank you very much for joining. Too long didn't read. You built the roads, and now we're ready to get them full of cars for the root network to thrive. And I think this is like a general thing that we have in the blockchain ecosystem. We have been working on infrastructure for many, many years, and now it's a time to actually get people on board. It's not speculation anymore. It's actually being able to get people there. And I mean, just the future pass alone, man, is just amazing as a builder. Like you can just connect it. You don't need to take care of that whole authentication process, and you're not paying thousands of dollars like you do it with Privy, right? So alone for that, it's a big thing.
You just said a couple of words that are really, really very close to my heart. One is that we are going beyond the speculation. It's actually it's a very hard process to make happen. But as far as we all agree that that has to be the direction to really be able to go beyond what has been so far, we will go there, and we will be able to get to the top altogether. Um, and yes, so I thank you very much for saying that, actually. And the future pass is one example. The data and the permission protocols is the other example. Um, uh, I would say the NFI piece. I know that you wanted to ask about something about that. Probably we should have a proper separate chat when I have a little bit more
Hmm.
time and I'm a little bit more available to really talk about that, what that really means and what it provides. Um, but all of these pieces are really the same logic and the same vision. Provide you with something that you don't have to think about. You can just focus on what is your core business, what is your core logic and view and engagement that you want to offer to your users. And then eventually, if you're building a project like B11's or Arcadia, you want to provide something more, extend this platform, basically, this infrastructure, keep expanding, keep adding more and more builders, which is really, really, really what we really wanted to do. We said from the beginning we were starting something, but it wasn't never been like Futureverse does everything. The goal was always to start kind of a movement and then onboard as many projects, as many people with the same spirit to really keep contributing, keep expanding, and so on and so on. That's really how we create the actual new version of the internet, or we can say the metaverse.
Amazing, Marco. I mean, it's definitely the beginning of this journey, and we'll be able to forge it together. I know you had your hard stop, so thank you very much for joining. I
Yeah,
will, I will then.
I'll try to come on again and be a little bit more available and have more time. Really looking forward to the next chat.
All good. Amazing, man. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye,
See
guys.
you.
Bye, everyone.
So yeah, we got to talk to Marco for a bit. I actually had a couple of questions regarding that. Um, just to finish off Arcadia, there's two more things that I wanted to ask you before we move to the next guest. The first one is, what is your take on web based experiences? I mean, I'm actually very bullish on 3JS and having the possibility to just open your browser from any phone or device, and then being able to get to the experience and of course interact with the root network. So yeah, what's your take on 3JS really quickly, and web native experiences, to put it that way, without having an engine like an engine such as Unity to it, but just WebGL. And then the second thing would be, what is the deal about Tracer? I just saw it very recently and would like to understand how that relates to Arcadia. And then, yeah, we can then go ahead and try talking to Believins again if the connection uh, allows it.
So super glad you asked that question, actually, because I see that a lot, and as an OG gamer myself, any game that's not like native, I think I inherently kind of rejected, because for the longest time that was just that coincided with performance issues, right? Like you were basically playing like a Flash game or something, and then any kind of A++ game was running locally. That has and is shifting completely. For one, I would say if any of you work in any kind of meaningful business, in any kind of enterprise business, you'll see all of the platform shipping to web based. What do I mean? Some examples: Microsoft Teams, SAP, Agile, all of you name it. If they aren't web based, they're lagging, because web based is the future. One of the biggest things are just becoming performative enough that things that weren't possible before are now performative. You can also leverage game engines like Unity and compile to WebGL, and so you get the benefits of a game engine and the browser. And then also browsers are agnostic, so you can be on a smart TV. The experience probably wouldn't be great, but you can load a browser on a smart TV. You could be on a Raspberry Pi. You could be on an Apple iPhone. You could be on a Linux desktop. As long as it has a browser, you can enjoy the experience. So it's agnostic. Those are probably the biggest selling points. Now, the perception that they are less performative is true, but I'm just letting you know that that has and is changing. And with that being said, like, do you want to be doing or working on what was cool and what was great in the past? Or do you want to be where we are going inevitably? Like, you absolutely want to be doing web-based if you can. So, and I also will say as the last thing, and I know this rings true to everybody, I think it's especially important in the Web3 space. It's not as important in Web2, but we all care about security. Running it in the browser is very nice in terms of security. I know if anybody tells me that I have to download their product and interact with a wallet or anything like that, I am absolutely checking out. And so I think from the user experience standpoint and just the perception, it's a huge selling point as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nowadays with all the scams that are there around, I'm also scared of like doing anything, like you download it and then your whole crypto's gone.
Yep. And yeah,
But
exactly. Like everybody should err on the side of an abundance of caution and not take risks. And so I mean, and all of those things line up. It's like why, and why. The game really needs to be ultra superior graphics to even justify something like that. So that's my take on it. It's a hot take.
yeah, absolutely. No, yeah. So bullish on WebGL and 3JS, and I didn't know about that thing that you could connect Unity with WebGL. I'll need to look into that for sure.
Yeah.
And regarding Tracer, so what were the news about that? How is that related to you guys?
So Tracer, we're not. I think this isn't going to be an informal announcement. This isn't exactly what I was anticipating, but we have acquired some intellectual property for a kind of stepper health app, and we're going to plug in some Arcadia magic, possibly do some Web3 integration and stuff like that. So I don't have anything definitive here to share with the group, but we have acquired some intellectual property and we got some magic going on behind the scenes. And we hope
Amazing.
to have some nice announcements pretty soon here.